Welcome back to Only Talk Sports, and tonight we've got the WCC. Last game of the regular season between the Gonzaga Bulldogs and the St. Mary's Gales. It's the rematch. St. Mary's, earlier this season, they were able to go to the Gonzaga Bulldogs on the road, something they don't normally do, and get a win. Usually when they play at Gonzaga, they do not win, but they were able to get it done earlier this season. But now St. Mary's trying to go for a season sweep of the Gonzaga Bulldogs and a perfect 16-0 record in WCC play, something St. Mary's has never done in their entire history of being in the West Coast Conference. It would be absolutely unbelievable if they could get it done. They're already a lock for the NCAA tournament, so they do not have to get this win. But Gonzaga, they have to win this game if they're going to have any shot of being able to make the NCAA tournament. I know some people say that they don't have to win this game and they could still get in, but that's not 100% of a given, because if you look at the fact that they're going to be playing in the WCC tournament, Gonzaga could lose in the first round of the WCC tournament and maybe find themselves on the outside looking in, especially if San Francisco loses early as well, because of the fact Gonzaga only 2 of their quad 1 wins. One of them is against San Francisco. The other is against the Kentucky Wildcats. So they need San Francisco to win some games to keep them in the quad 1 rankings. But as of now, it looks like Gonzaga is in great shape because they are currently up 38-23 in Morago, California, a place that Gonzaga has not won at in a couple of years. It's been absolutely unbelievable how Gonzaga has been so dominant in WCC play for so long. But recently, they have struggled to win at St. Mary's. They've lost their last 2 games at St. Mary's. It is a tough environment. Randy Bennett, one of the most underrated coaches in college basketball, has a very underrated squad year in and year out. They've gotten better over time as well, because he used to have solid teams that would always be hovering in and out of the top 25. Maybe they would squeak into the NCAA tournament or make the NIT. But this year's team, they're ranked number 17 in the nation. They're 24-6, 15-0 in the WCC. And like I said, St. Mary's is a lock for the NCAA tournament, which is crazy. They're a 6 seed right now in the bracket matrix, whereas Gonzaga's down there as a 10 or an 11 seed, barely in right now. But Gonzaga, Graham Ike down low. He's been dominant so far in this game. They're up 42-23 right now. Gonzaga is up by 19 points. They're playing very good basketball. I was not expecting this. I even predicted St. Mary's to win this game. I made a short on it earlier this week. I said St. Mary's was going to be able to get this win and sweep the Bulldogs and go 16-0 for the first time in WCC play. But right now, they're struggling. The Gales just knocked down a 3 to cut it to 16. It's 42-26, but Gonzaga, they've got the ball right now in the driver's seat, looking to find a way to get their 3rd quad 1 win of the season, which would give Gonzaga an automatic bid for the NCAA tournament as an at-large. They could still get an automatic bid if they're able to win the WCC tournament, but there is no way Gonzaga is going to be left out of the NCAA tournament if they do knock off the Gales tonight. And right now, they are on a roll, and they're playing very hard. They're out hustling the Gales, which is tough to do because Randy Bennett's squad is always tough as nails. They're always doing everything they can, going for loose balls, playing very hard on the glass. But right now, things just are not looking good for St. Mary's. JT Thompson, appreciate you for being here. He says Gonzaga paid the refs. He is not believing that Gonzaga is playing this well. But I will say that St. Mary's is going to have to do a better job on defense. St. Mary's has 6 fouls. Gonzaga has 3. But St. Mary's just isn't making shots. Gonzaga is knocking down all their shots. But, hey, maybe they will cool off in the second half, and that could help St. Mary's come back. Gales in the lane, going up for a layup. They got it to go. Cut it to 14. They're making a little bit of a run here before the half. Alex Dukas, one of the seniors for the Gales, being honored on senior night in this game for St. Mary's. He knocked down a big bucket there. It's 42-28. Nimhart is 13. EK has 12. For Gonzaga, leading the Bulldogs right now with this 14-point lead. 35 seconds before the half. Nimhard to EK down low, and EK is money right now. Another layup for the Bulldogs. It's 44-28. 25 seconds to go in the first half. Randy Bennett probably was not expecting this offensive outburst by the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Usually St. Mary's does a much better job being able to slow down the opposing team. It's just not happening tonight right now. There's still another half to play, but they're just not imposing their will. St. Mary's just drew a foul on Gonzaga, but there's no free throws because Gonzaga is not in the bonus yet. But to your point, JT Thompson, I will say as well, Gonzaga did have a lot more free throws than San Francisco in their last game earlier this week. Gonzaga pulled away big time against San Francisco in the second half, which is helping Gonzaga's chances of possibly being able to make the tournament. But Gonzaga went to the line a lot more. But in this game, that's not really a factor. St. Mary's just can't make shots. They miss right there. The ball goes out of bounds. What an effort by Dusty Stromer to knock it off the Gales. And it will be Bulldogs basketball with 0.6 on the clock. Nembhard, he just dribbles it out. And that is your first half. 44-28, Gonzaga with a 16-point lead at the half. Nembhard with 13 points and 6 assists. EK with 14 points and 3 boards. And if this continues for another 20 minutes, there is no way St. Mary's is going to be able to win. EOTWN, appreciate you for being here as well. Says go team. Don't know who you're rooting for by that message, but do appreciate you for being here nonetheless. Like I said, appreciate you being here as well, JT Thompson. But this is a big day in sports. For one thing, you got all these massive matchups in college basketball. Getting close to March Madness, teams needing wins to make the NCAA tournament. Then you've got obviously LeBron James. If you follow the NBA, he got to 40,000 points tonight. I'm sure a lot of people are excited that LeBron James is the first NBA player to get to 40,000 points. I'm sure a lot of other people really aren't concerned about that if you're not a LeBron fan, but if you are, I'm sure you're happy about that. But another thing as well, we just passed 2,000 subscribers on this channel. I am very appreciative of all you guys that have subscribed to the channel and have watched my videos, watched my live streams, just hanging out and watching these basketball games with me and being in the chat. It is always so much fun when you guys are in the chat, and I really appreciate all your guys' support. It would not be possible without all of you guys. You guys are the best. But we're going to keep on doing live streams. We're going to keep on doing videos. I got more videos coming up this week as we get closer to March Madness. But I really do appreciate all of you guys for helping me get to 2,000 subscribers. It has been a blast doing these YouTube videos and these live streams for the last year and a half. And we're definitely going to keep on making streams and videos in the future. But it is definitely all because of you guys. You guys are the best. But Gonzaga right now, with an offensive outburst, up 44-28 on St. Mary's. I'm just shocked. I really am. That St. Mary's is just not doing a better job on defense than they are at this stage in the game. I mean, if Gonzaga had 44 points, right, like they do right now, and you told me before the game that Gonzaga would have 44 points at the half, I would be telling you St. Mary's is down by a lot like they are, but I would have thought that maybe Gonzaga had 44 points with like 13 minutes left in the game, maybe 12 minutes left in the game, because that's usually what St. Mary's does. When I made my prediction for this game, I think I said St. Mary's 69, Gonzaga 67, because that's how St. Mary's wins games. And I thought I might have been a little bit too high on that prediction, because as we saw earlier this season, St. Mary's went on the road and knocked off Gonzaga in Spokane with a 64-62 win. They won by 2 points. But that's how St. Mary's is able to win. I reacted to that game earlier this year, and I reacted to the game when St. Mary's played Gonzaga in the WCC tournament last year, and it was a 77-51 win for Gonzaga. When Gonzaga's getting in the 70s, it's tough for St. Mary's to win. Gonzaga won 77-68 back in 2023 as well. And then the time before that, St. Mary's did beat Gonzaga 78-70, but that game went to overtime. And then the last time St. Mary's won before that, it was a 67-57 win. So that is the blueprint for St. Mary's. They have to be able to shut down the other team and prevent them from really getting into rhythm on offense and being able to dictate the game. And that's just what's going on right now with Gonzaga. And I believe that over time this season, Gonzaga's figured things out. Earlier this year, they were nowhere near as good of a team. I mean, they were still capable, playing well, even though they weren't winning none of their big games out of conference. You could tell that this was a good basketball team. But ever since they lost that game to St. Mary's on their own floor, a flip has scripted, a light bulb has come on, and Gonzaga is a completely different team right now. They're a completely different team. Their offense, it's not just Nimhard and EK who are having great games tonight against St. Mary's so far, but it's also guys like Nolan Hickman, Ben Gregg, Dusty Stromer, Braden Huff. These guys have come on down the stretch. Anton Watson. All of these guys are playing well, and that makes Gonzaga such a tough team to stop when you have to be able to slow down so many different players. It makes it almost impossible. And while St. Mary's has good players of their own, like Aiden Mahaney, and they got Mitchell Saxon, Alex Dukas, they just don't have as many guys that can fill it up on the offensive end as Gonzaga does. And that was the one thing that worried me when I did pick St. Mary's earlier this week, as I was like, well, Gonzaga is playing much better on offense right now. They look like a much better team than they did the first time these two teams played. And Gonzaga has more talent, but Gonzaga had more talent than St. Mary's the last two times that these two teams played in Moraga, California. St. Mary's was able to beat Gonzaga the last two times in Moraga, California, even when Gonzaga was such a talented team. So that's not an issue. Talent's not the problem. It's just St. Mary's is not being able to impose their will on the game. Gonzaga is, and that's why they're playing so well. Plus, Gonzaga is determined, obviously, to make the NCAA tournament, and Mark Few has got this squad playing great basketball when it is needed most. JT Thompson, appreciate you for the super chat, sending $10. Really appreciate that. He says St. Mary's will make a comeback. I hope they do. Obviously, it's a lot more fun to watch a close competitive basketball game. I know I started the live stream a little bit late. Sorry about that. Really wanted to start when the game first started, but I hope the game is very competitive down the stretch because that makes for great viewing. The chat is on fire. Everybody's having a lot of fun, and it's always entertaining when the game goes down the stretch at the end, and it's a wire-to-wire game, a one-possession game, final shot wins it all type of game. Right now, it's not looking like that, but again, appreciate you for being here, JT, and appreciate the super chat. You're the best. Appreciate it. Jackson says, what's up, Only Talk Sports Nation? And he also says, congratulations on getting 2,000 subs. I really appreciate that, Jackson. It's the 2,000 subscriber special live stream tonight for the WCC regular season finale. All of you guys really appreciate the support. Can't believe we made it to 2,000 subs. On to 3,000, hopefully 400,000 views. We're getting close to 400,000 views on the channel as well, but you guys are awesome. Again, could not do it without all of you guys. I really do appreciate it. But again, appreciate JT for the super chat and really do hope St. Mary's can make a comeback. But right now, they are showing on the ESPN highlights some of the games that happened earlier today. It's been a massive Saturday in college basketball. If you look at some of the other results, Houston barely surviving on the road at Oklahoma. A game like that shows you the parity in college basketball. Houston is playing such great basketball. They're ranked number one in the nation, and they're going on the road to face an Oklahoma team who's been ranked at times this season, but Oklahoma's been struggling lately, haven't been playing as well, and they almost pulled off a win over the number one team on their own floor. Couldn't get it done, but their effort was almost rewarded with a great win. And even with a loss, this is going to help them out for their bid to make the NCAA tournament, because a close loss for Oklahoma is a lot better for the net and all the other computer metrics than a blowout loss. That's why teams like Wisconsin, they're like 18-11 right now, and they're fading fast. They're still like a 16 in the bracket because of the fact that their net ranking so hot. So it's also how you lose just as much as it is whether you win or not. Like, you can't get blown out by 30 points. Losing close can definitely help out your resume still, even though a win is preferred. Then you have Purdue in the Big Ten knocking off Michigan State. They won that game by 6 points. Purdue definitely going to win the Big Ten. They're having a fantastic season. As always, though, is this Purdue's year to go far in the NCAA tournament? Are they going to make a deep run? We know they did with Carson Edwards, made the Elite Eight. But other than that, Matt Painter's had so many talented teams that have fallen short in March Madness and lost in the first round. Last year with Fairleigh Dickinson, I still cannot believe Fairleigh Dickinson beat Purdue. That should not have happened. UMBC beating Virginia, that was unbelievable, but it just seems even crazier with Fairleigh Dickinson beat Purdue. But then when you look at, again, Purdue losing to North Texas and St. Peter's and March Madness, like Purdue, we know you're good, but you got to go far in the tournament this year. We'll see if they can. Tennessee beat Alabama on the road. I picked Alabama to win the game. They couldn't get it done. Tennessee getting the big win. Tennessee, another team that struggled to advance far in the tournament with Rick Barnes at head coach. Great coach, but he has not advanced far in the tournament. That's why he's not a Hall of Famer yet. But we'll see if eventually he can get to be a Hall of Famer. He'll get tabbed for that award if he could maybe take Tennessee far into a couple tournaments. I think that would help out big time. They've got a really talented team. And that was a fantastic win for Tennessee, especially with Dalton Knecht not having his best game. And Alabama just could not make shots down the stretch. Then you have Marquette losing to Creighton on the road. Creighton, great win for them. But unfortunately for Marquette, they didn't have Oso Ighodaro or Tyler Kolek. They're going to need both those guys back soon if they're going to be able to make a run in March Madness, if they're going to be able to have a shot of winning the Big East tournament, because those guys are hurt right now. Tyler Kolek's injury, I know, is worse than Oso Ighodaro's, but it still gave Marquette no shot to win this game at Creighton. I picked Creighton in the video that I made. Arizona beat Oregon. Oregon, Kuznard had like 39 for them, and they still lost by 20. It's terrible when you have a guy scoring almost 40 points for you and you still get blown out. That's how explosive Arizona is on offense. Kansas lost at Baylor, even though Kevin McCullough did play for Kansas. Langston Love could not play for Baylor, but the Bears still were able to knock off the Kansas Jayhawks at home. Kevin McCullough being able to play is huge for Kansas, but the Jayhawks, there's just something not right with them right now. They're struggling a little bit per Bill Self standards. I mean, they're losing a lot more games than they normally do, which is really shocking me. We'll have to see if Kansas can get things right by March Madness. Iowa State beat UCF in a fairly low-scoring game. Carolina beat NC State. I still think Carolina isn't playing great basketball right now, but overall, a win is a win. Then you have Duke. They blew out Virginia. Virginia's offense is in one of the biggest ruts I've ever seen, even for Virginia standards. Virginia has not cracked 50 points in like 4 or 5 games. It is ugly how poor they're playing. Terrible basketball for Virginia. They still should make the tournament, I think. But, man, Tony Bennett's squad not defending as well as they normally do, and their offense is absolutely playing horrible basketball right now. It is ugly to watch, even if you're somebody that loves to watch defense. Then you have Auburn knocking off Mississippi State. That was a good one. Illinois beating Wisconsin. Wisconsin is in a free fall. They have lost tons of games in a row lately, or they've lost like 4 of their last 5 games. They're not playing well. Wisconsin, if they keep losing, it's definitely going to impact their seeding for the tournament. JT Thompson said Randy Bennett is a biology major. That makes sense. I mean, Randy Bennett's a smart guy because, like, he gets guys that are 3 and bare, like, unranked players, and he makes them good. I know that it's cliche because there's so many coaches that have done it before. It's not always like the Mike Krzyzewski's toward the end of his career coaching Duke, where he got a lot of 5 stars. John Calipari at Kentucky getting a lot of 5 stars. Like, we know guys like Jay Wright got a lot of 3 stars. Sometimes he got 5 stars, but Randy Bennett, it just seems like it's even more so that he just brings in guys like nobody's recruiting the players that he brings in. And then they win. They just flat out win games. And I know they're in a smaller league. They're not in like the Big 12. Like if St. Mary's in the Big 12, yeah, they wouldn't win. But that's why they're not in the Big 12. But just the fact that he's been able to compete in the WCC and make the NCAA tournament so many times and beat Gonzaga as many times as he has is very impressive. Yeah, JT Thompson said pure madness. Yeah, you can't beat March Madness. It's one of the best events in sports, all of sports. Like, it doesn't matter what sport you like. Just the amount of craziness that happens over the coming days, the given days in March Madness. Like, you're watching, like, the first round of 64, even the first 4 that they added in 2011 that made it 68 teams. That's fun. And then once you get to the round of 64, round of 32, it's just pure madness all the way down. Like, you know, you could be the best team in the field. Like, you could have legitimately, like, you could say that's the best team in the entire tournament, and then they lose to a team that's not that great because it's one game. It doesn't matter how good you are. You could have a bad game. And that's the way that you don't have in the NBA. You lose that aspect with the NBA where you have the 7-game the playoffs like that, because you have a poor game and the next game you ball out and play great, and then you end up winning in the series in 7 games, like win 4-3. But in March Madness, It's win and you advance. It's lose, you're gone. And there's so many games on at the same time, especially in the earlier rounds. It's a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed March Madness since I was a little kid, and I still do now. JT Thompson didn't know SEC played basketball. They are definitely more known for football, but I do think that they're getting more of a name and recognition and repertoire in basketball lately, because the SEC in college basketball, for the longest time, it was like, it's just John Calipari. It's just Kentucky and all the 5-stars. And other than that, like, the rest of the teams weren't all that great. But now you've got Tennessee and Alabama and Arkansas. Not this year, but Arkansas has been good for the last 4 or 5 years with Eric Musselman. Like, they got a lot of teams that can compete. Florida as well, when they won the 2 titles back in the mid-2000s, that was kind of like the start of it for the SEC in basketball. And obviously, like, in the past, they had, Shaq at LSU and Charles Barkley at Auburn, so they've had their moments. But yeah, the SEC is getting much more recognition in basketball lately. Jackson said those Jayhawks didn't look so hot against the bare necessities. Yeah, I mean, they played all right, but for many stretches of that game, Baylor was just the better team. I think the problem with Kansas, they've had some injuries that have impacted, like, their rotations. It's forced guys to play more minutes that really, I wouldn't say don't deserve minutes, but they're just not able to really help out Kansas win big-time games like that on the road like they've had in the past. And their depth isn't all that either. They don't have a lot of depth. And that's a big-time problem. Jackson says Virginia basketball is the Iowa football of college basketball. 100%. Great comparison. Their offenses are ugly, especially this year. I missed the Kyle Guy, Virginia team. Ty Jerome. That was fun. I mean, that was a fun basketball team because of the fact that their offense, was good enough. And they can knock down threes when needed. They had DeAndre Hunter as well. But their defense was stellar. Very fun team to watch. Well-disciplined. Now it's just not all that fun to watch with Virginia basketball. I mean, when their defense is playing great and it's like a low 50s type of game, it can be fun. But when they're getting destroyed, once Virginia goes down by 10, game's over. They're not coming back because of their style of play. It doesn't allow them to come back. JT Thompson says, how much does a big-time player get with NIL? $2 million. I mean, that's the rumors. I know a lot of people think that these guys make that much. I would say it's more like in the high 100,000s, like 750,000, maybe close to $1 million. But, I mean, realistically, I don't really think there's that many college basketball players making $2 million a year, but you never know. I mean, the reports, they're fuzzy. They don't always tell you the truth. Second half has just started. We've got Gonzaga with the ball first in the second half. EK down low. Can St. Mary's make a comeback? EK on the left block, going up strong, and Gonzaga scores the first points of the second half, and that's not what St. Mary's needed right there. They're now down by 18 points. They need Gonzaga to start missing shots. They need to be able to get this game back in their favor by slowing it down. St. Mary's did just knock down a layup. It's 46-30. Big shot right there by Augustus Marcelionis. He's a good player, very underrated player for St. Mary's, but St. Mary's cannot play a sped-up type of offense. They need to be able to get stops, start chipping away at this thing, and cut it to under 10 by at least like the 12-minute mark. Ron Nimhard, though, just missed a floater, so now St. Mary's has the ball, bringing it up the floor. Gales down 16. Top of the key, almost stolen by Ben Gregg. Didn't happen, though. Mitchell Saxon, top of the key, to Alex Dukas on senior night. Alex Dukas knocks down the three. Maybe the comeback can still happen for the Gales. 46-33. Alex Dukas has been one of the bright spots for St. Mary's tonight. He's 3 of 4 from the three-point line. He's having a good game. 18:30 to go in the second half. 46-33. Gonzaga up by 13. They were up by 18 just a couple minutes ago. They're starting to lose the lead just a little bit. Still up by a lot, however. Nimhard driving into the lane. What a floater. Couldn't get it to go. EK down low. He misses. St. Mary's with the board. And now the crowd's starting to get back into it a little bit. 18 to go in the second half. There's still plenty of time in this WCC regular season finale. St. Mary's trying to go for their first ever perfect 16-0 season in WCC play. And now they've cut it to 11. St. Mary's all the way to the rack. 46-35, timeout, Mark Few. What a response by the Gales. They have not given up just yet. Jackson says, I feel like the Marquette win is key in Wisconsin NCAA tournament. Otherwise, they'd be out of the bubble. Yeah, that's true. But it's because of the net, though, as well. And I know that win helps, but their net is like 22 right now. Like, Wisconsin, realistically, they should not have a good net ranking. It should be a lot lower, but it's about how much you win, how much you lose by. In Wisconsin, they have a lot of blowout wins, and they have a lot of close losses, so that's why Wisconsin has a great net ranking. And that Marquette win definitely helps. But I think even if they didn't win that game, they'd still be like a 9 seed right now or an 8 seed. They'd be still comfortably in the field just because of the net, which is unfortunate. There's a lot of teams with great records that have bad net rankings. That's why they're not going to make the tournament. Steven Cherry says, will Purdue get bounced early in the tournament? Yep. Appreciate you for being here, Steven. I mean, it's one of those things. They got to prove it. You got to prove it first before, you can go out there and say this team is going to be Final Four. Like, I know so many people are saying it. Purdue's going to win it all. Purdue's going to go to the Final Four. And, like, if they had done it before, if they have shown us in the past that they could do that, I'd be on board with that. I'd be like, yeah, I think Purdue can do it. But Purdue has never shown it yet. And until they do it, I'm with you, Steven. They probably will get bounced early. They have the talent overall at the guard position, along with Zach Edey, for me to believe they could. But again, until they do it, it's hard to believe that they will. JT Thompson says, how much does an arm tattoo cost? I have no idea. Have no interest in tattoos, so I have no idea. It's a great question, though. I mean, maybe a small one, $100. I have no idea, but that's hilarious, JT Thompson. I mean, I'm sure the basketball players will know a lot more because they got tons of them. A lot of the players do. JT Thompson said, come on, Gales. They're making a little bit of a run. I hope they make this game interesting. It will be a great way to cap off this fantastic Saturday of college basketball, the second to last regular season Saturday. We're already going to have some of the smaller conferences starting their tournaments this week. But next Saturday and Sunday are the final games in the regular season for the big conferences. Steven Cherry says Big Ten has to change the style of play. I agree 110%, Steven. I've been saying that for so long. I'm like the Big Ten. Your style of play does not help you out in college basketball. That's why you haven't won a title since 2000. I'm like, I agree 100%. I don't get it. A lot of people say it's the refs and the way that they blow the whistle in the league compared to other conferences. I mean, other conferences, there's tons of fouls too, like the Big East. I've seen tons of fouls in the Big East, but they still have won. So, I mean, it is the style of play. Bigs are great, but you need great guards, and the Big Ten just does not have a lot of elite guards. They're in the SEC. They're in the Big 12. They have the guys that are getting to be top 10 draft picks, and the Big Ten doesn't have that, and they don't want to go, and they don't want to play for Big Ten teams when the style of play is what it is. So I agree with you 110%. The game is resumed, though. Ryan Nembhard, top of the key. Kicks to Nolan Hickman. Now to Anton Watson, improved player for Gonzaga this season. On the right block, turn around. It's short. Dukas with the board. St. Mary's down by 11. But they're on a little mini run here. 17:25 to go in the second half. Mitchell Saxon, top of the key. Being double teamed, back to Saxon. Out to Aiden Mahaney for three. His shot is good. Maybe the comeback is real. St. Mary's has cut this thing to 8. It looked like Gonzaga was about to blow the doors off the Gales in Moraga, but that is not the case. St. Mary's on a 10-0 run in 2 minutes. Nembhard down low to Nolan Hickman, though, to quiet the run. That's a good play by the veteran guard. Ryan Nembhard splitting the defenders, kicking to Nolan Hickman. That's a good shot, but still, St. Mary's only down by 10. And now there's a turnover. That's a tough mistake for St. Mary's. Hickman down the lane. What a block, but they're going to call a goaltend. Ball went in anyway, so it didn't matter. I love when they call a goaltend when the ball went in the hoop anyway. It's hilarious. But Gonzaga now back up by 12. And see, that's my problem here with this game. St. Mary's, yes, they cut it to 8, but they're sped up. They're playing faster than they normally do. They still got to slow it down a bit. They don't need it all back right now. And they just turned it over again. Nembhard's now sped up. Kicks to Ben Gregg, and Ben Gregg for 2. What happened to the St. Mary's comeback? A quick 6-0 run for Gonzaga has it back up to 14. St. Mary's needs to settle this thing down. Randy Bennett might have to call another timeout, but that would only leave him with 1. Bad shot by Alex Dukas. And now they call another foul on St. Mary's. The Gales are just too sped up. You can't be that sped up. You got to calm down. You got to take good shots. They're just not doing it right now. Alex Dukas, that 1-3 he had a little bit earlier in the second half, couple minutes ago, it was a great shot. This one right here that he just took, terrible shot. It was rushed. He had a hand in his face. Definitely did not need it. You could tell that the St. Mary's crowd is getting nervous again. They were back in it for a minute there, but they're getting very nervous as Andrew Nembhard brings this ball up the floor. If Gonzaga gets up by around 18, 20 points again, St. Mary's might not be able to go on another run to get this thing back down to a area of the game where maybe they can come back. Like, I don't know. I don't know if St. Mary's can withstand another big run from Gonzaga and then they try to cut this lead. It might be too little too late. EK on the left block, going up. He missed the shot. Now Dukas has the board. 15:30 to go in the second half. 14-point deficit for St. Mary's. What does Randy Bennett have drawn up? Aiden Mahaney, top of the key, being guarded by Nembhard. Kicks it inside. On the left block, back outside to Aiden Mahaney, taking a bump, and there's a foul. 15-18 to go in the second half. That's TNT. Appreciate you for being here. Says, how do you feel about the Memphis Tigers this season? Memphis is one of the most polarizing teams in college basketball because they started out great. Like, they were knocking off top 25 teams, playing great basketball, and then they just collapsed in the middle of the season. Like, in the middle of American Conference play, they were losing, I wouldn't say bad teams, but like UAB, South Florida, they're not bad teams. I even think South Florida is ranked right now at 25th. But with the way Memphis was playing earlier this year, you would have thought that they would have been able to just breeze through the American Conference. Hasn't been the case. Now they're starting to get their act together. They're playing better overall, but I think it might be too little too late. It looks like Memphis is going to be an NIT team, which, to be fair, Penny Hardaway, he's won the NIT before at Memphis. So maybe Memphis can win the NIT again. They would probably have to basically win out to even make the tournament at this point, the NCAA tournament. Like I said, I think they're a solid team. They've got some talent, but it wasn't consistent this year, unfortunately. If they just could have avoided that stretch where they lost like 4 or 5 games in a row to inferior teams, then they would have been an NCAA tournament team for sure. That's a great question. Definitely Memphis has been one of those teams that's been interesting to keep an eye on this year with how inconsistent they've been. Appreciate you being here. That's TNT, and appreciate the question. Jackson says it's amazing how St. Mary's went from 3-5 to 24-6. That turnaround alone has put them in the NCAA tournament. I agree with you, Jackson. That's something that I don't even think anybody remembers. That's not even something I've actually thought about. But to your point, that's why they're undefeated in the WCC. They haven't slipped up to like Santa Clara or San Francisco. They were able to beat Gonzaga earlier this season on the road. But the fact that they started out 3-5, I remember that. Like, they had an ugly start to the season. And they even had a couple losses that weren't all that good. And people were like, St. Mary's. I remember, like, college basketball shows and podcasts, like, earlier in the year, early in the season, like, St. Mary's isn't going to make the tournament. What's going on with Randy Bennett's squad? Blah, blah, blah. But they got Aiden Mahaney. They should be doing great. But they turned it around. Like, they absolutely flipped a switch once the WCC started. And they've taken care of business. And that's why you've got St. Mary's clearly in the NCAA tournament field. I mean, like right now, Gonzaga, they were an 11 seed, but right now the bracket matrix has them as a 10 seed. But St. Mary's is all the way up here at a 6 seed. And that's with those early losses. Imagine if St. Mary's hadn't have lost those early games, like you said, Jackson. They'd probably be like a 3 seed right now or a 4 seed. But still, as is, even if St. Mary's doesn't win this game, it's no big deal. I almost feel like the fact that Gonzaga kind of needs this win to make the tournament, whereas St. Mary's doesn't, is why Gonzaga is just playing harder. And that just stinks because St. Mary's, they have a shot to go undefeated in WCC play and to sweep Gonzaga. That should be great in itself, and having their fans watching them. And I'm not saying they're not playing hard, but Gonzaga's just playing better overall. Mitchell Saxon missed a floater in the lane. That's a tough miss. St. Mary's needed that shot to fall. Couldn't get it to go. They're still down by 14. Gonzaga's already got 15 assists in this game. They're just flat out passing the ball better as well, especially Ron Nembhard. He's dropped some dimes in this game. Nolan Hickman's got the ball at the top of the key. Graham EK set a ball screen. Nolan Hickman kind of caught in the paint, kicks to EK, and EK almost got the shot to fall, but it does not go in. But then Ben Gregg, right there to get the board, and he's going to the line, I think. Ben Gregg is a very underrated player for Gonzaga. One of the guys that's not talked about very much, but he plays very hard. He fights for balls on the glass. Very fun player to watch. If you just like paying attention to everybody on the floor, not just the stars like Nembhard and EK or even Anton Watson or Nolan Hickman, Ben Gregg, ever since he's been inserted at the starting lineup, because when they lost earlier in the season to St. Mary's, Ben Gregg was not playing as much. They're showing it right now on screen, on TV. In his first 16 games, he did not start, and Gonzaga was 11-5 on the season. In the last 13 games, Ben Gregg has started all of them. Gonzaga's 12-1, and their only loss was to St. Mary's the first time around. But that was when Ben Gregg, the first time they lost to St. Mary's, he had just been inserted in the lineup. Now he's entrenched in the starting lineup. He's almost like a Leaky Black type player. How Carolina had Leaky Black, and Leaky Black would do all the dirty things, the little things for Carolina. That's kind of what Ben Gregg, to me, feels like for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Everything that the other players don't do, that toughness, getting a board here or there, getting a steal, he does all those things. And that's what's made Gonzaga a better team down the stretch of the season. I think one of the biggest things that makes teams better down the stretch of seasons is when you have your team at the beginning of the year and you know who's good, but then somebody, a player or two, has to emerge later down at the season to be able to improve as a team overall. Because once the season gets, further down the road, every team's getting better. Every team is improving as guys are gelling on the floor. But to be able to combat what every other team's doing, you have to have a guy or two that emerges. And for Gonzaga, Ben Gregg has been one of those guys. And that's why the Bulldogs are a better team now than they were earlier this season when they were not winning games. Ben Gregg, very important part of the team. JT Thompson said to bomb threes. Yeah, St. Mary's is going to have to knock down some threes if they're going to be able to come back because they're down by 15. Ben Gregg did split the free throws, but St. Mary's just turned the basketball over. Down by 15, and now they just fouled. That's something you don't want to do. You're already down by 15 points. There's only 14 minutes to go in the game. You can't get in foul trouble. St. Mary's is 3 fouls right now. Gonzaga is 1 foul. But if this game's going to come down to free throws, we know St. Mary's can hit free throws, but Gonzaga can hit them at a pretty good rate as well. And that's just not something St. Mary's needs. Can't get into foul trouble, especially being down by as much as they are. Nembhard off a screen. He turns it over. Tried to get it to EK. Could not. Now Mahaney down the floor, going up with a floater and one. St. Mary's desperately needed that shot. What a play by Aiden Mahaney. He is such a good player for St. Mary's. He's one of those guys. Yes, St. Mary's has all the underrated guys that most other teams wouldn't recruit, but Aiden Mahaney, he's talented. He's a good player. I think he was a little bit higher rated than some of these other guys, but I like watching Aiden Mahaney. He was a good player last year. Some people thought after his freshman year he would go off to the NBA, decides to come back. I don't know how much longer he's going to stay in college basketball, if he'll have stayed in his senior year or not, but he's a very, very good player for the Gales. He's at the line trying to finish off this three-point play. It's up and in. So it's 53-41. They're down by 12. St. Mary's is 3 of 6 at the line. Gonzaga's 5 of 6. So free throws have not really been a major part of this game. The Bulldogs have just been knocking down shots. Got to give them credit. 13:40 to go in the second half. Nembhard kicking it over to his backcourt teammate and Nolan Hickman. Over to Watson on the left block. Dribbling inside. Now he's on the right block. He's stopped by Saxon. That's good defense by Saxon. Very good defense. He forced a miss. Aiden Mahaney's got the board going back the other way. St. Mary's in the half court. Kicking it to Marcelionis, and there is a foul on the floor. No shot. But that's a smart play by Marcelionis. He's a good shooter. Go off the dribble, pick up a foul, try to get Gonzaga into some foul trouble. 13:16 to go in the second half in this WCC regular season finale. Stakes on the line for both teams. If St. Mary's wins, they'll have their first ever season going 16-0 in conference play. If Gonzaga wins, it will definitely give them a bid for the NCAA tournament. Saxon down low, he misses. Inside, St. Mary's, the offensive rebound, can't get it to go, and now EK's got the board. They needed that bucket. St. Mary's did. Saxon just couldn't get it to fall. EK top of the key. Kicks to Nembhard. Now over to Ben Gregg. He thought about taking a shot. Wisely decides to kick it back to Nembhard. Nembhard driving into the painted area. back to Ben Gregg, 10 on the shot clock, and Ben Gregg all the way to the hoop with a layup. What a shot by Ben Gregg. That's a very athletic play. 12:30 to go in the second half. Ben Gregg is 12 points and 4 boards. He's 4 or 5 from the field. Aiden Mahaney kicks over to Marcel Leonis. His shot's off the mark. Saxon with the offensive rebound. It's poked away, and the ball's out of bounds. It will stay with St. Mary's. Stephen Cherry asking us, has Indiana become the basketball version of Nebraska football? That's a great question, Stephen. People have been talking about it for years, but it's basically true. I mean, Indiana hasn't won in a long time. Yes, we know like Tom Osborne, I think he retired after the 2001 season. Bob Knight got fired after 2000. Neither team's been good since. So, yeah, I would say I'll definitely talk about this subject a little bit more during the break, but I would say that that's mostly true. So now you got Anton Watson for Gonzaga going down the lane after St. Mary's misses a shot. He can't get it to fall. And the Gales down by 14. They need something soon. I will say their defense has shut down Gonzaga more in the second half, but the offense for St. Mary's is just not coming around enough to really chip away to this lead. Mahaney just missed a 3. Nembhard bringing it back up the floor. Both teams have 2 timeouts. Both teams have 3 fouls. But the Bulldogs have a 14-point lead on the Gales. Gonzaga with a win here will get their 3rd quad 1 win of the season, along with the San Francisco and Kentucky wins, and they would now be a lock for the NCAA tournament. EK on the right block, going up strong with it, and Mitchell Saxon is just having a tough night with Graham EK. He can't slow him down. The physicality that EK has when he's turning shoulder, going up for the shot, Saxon just cannot slow it down, and EK is money tonight. 57-41. Now you've got Aiden Mahaney kicking down low to Mitchell Saxon. Can he return the favor on EK? Back to Marcel Leonis, and Augustus Marcel Leonis cans the triple. Cuts it to 13, gives St. Mary's still some life, but there's only 10:50 to go in the second half. Time is rapidly going off the clock, and Gonzaga is still up by 13. 10:40 to go. Nembhard down the lane, can't get it to fall, and Saxon with the board. There's still time for St. Mary's, still plenty of time, but their style of play just worries me on them trying to make a comeback. Aiden Mahaney, top of the key, being guarded by Nolan Hickman. He's getting into the paint. What a pass to Saxon. He should have went up with it the first time, but Saxon turns shoulder, and he lays it in. 57-46, 11-point game, 10:15 to go in the second half. It's not over yet. The crowd's getting back on their feet a little bit. St. Mary's only shooting 40% from the field. Gonzaga shooting 56% from the field. Down the floor, Ron Nembhard being stopped by Marcel Leonis. He shoots a 3 and it goes down. Every time St. Mary's cuts into the lead, Gonzaga strikes back. What a shot by Nembhard. He's such a veteran player. Definitely has NBA potential like his brother Andrew. That's a really good shot. 60-46. Marcel Leonis kicks down low to Saxon, and they're going to call a blocking foul on Gonzaga. Saxon got lucky. They didn't call an offensive foul on him because it could have been, but he'll have some free throws after the break. Under 10 to go. Gales down by 14. Like JT Thompson, Gales will strike in a minute. I believe they still can, but they definitely are running out of time. But back to Steven's question, though, of Indiana basketball. The problem with Nebraska is that Tom Osborne retired, and then Bo Pelini, they fired him even though he was solid. With Indiana, it's like, okay, they fired Bob Knight because of what happened. Then Mike Davis kind of struggled. They ended up firing him. But then Kelvin Sampson was the guy. Kelvin Sampson was the guy for Indiana, but then he got fired for recruiting allegations. Tom Crean kind of brought him back, but he wasn't consistent. He got fired, and then after that, Archie didn't work out, and Mike Woodson's kind of not working out either. So it's like, I think Indiana has potential to be great again, along with Nebraska. I would say Indiana basketball has more potential, but they only hired one coach that was great, and Kelvin Sampson, but he got fired for recruiting allegations. He's down there at Houston now, and he's not getting fired for recruiting allegations because look at it. I mean, the landscape's changed. NIL is a factor and all these other things. But when Kelvin Sampson was at Indiana, he got fired because he broke recruiting violations that were at the time. So I think Indiana does have potential, but it's interesting. JT Thompson said, who is Bob Knight? I don't know if that's a rhetorical question or if you're actually asking the question. If you're actually asking the question, he was Indiana's basketball coach from 1971 to 2000. But if rhetorically asking, that is funny because Bob Knight, a lot of people are not fans of him for what he did in certain things, but he was a very good basketball coach for Indiana, and a lot of his players do hold a lot of respect for him. Steven says Indiana needs to get Billy Donovan. Yeah, I've even seen I don't know, I've seen Ohio State fans. You might have even said it, Steven, as well, about Billy Donovan going to Ohio State, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Sean Miller's getting talked about. We'll have to see. Jackson says, as of now, St. Mary's is the longest active winning streak at 15. And see, that's the tough thing because I picked St. Mary's to win this game, but you're feeling like sometimes the streak has to end. They're playing so well, and they've been playing so well. They were able to beat Gonzaga earlier this season. They have the longest active winning streak, but Gonzaga needs this win more. Yes, for St. Mary's, it would be great for them to go undefeated in WCC play, but it's not like if they lose this game, they're missing the tournament. There's nothing that's going to be really bad for St. Mary's losing this game. I guess momentum for the tournament, but it's not really that big a deal. For Gonzaga, this win means a whole lot more for them, and you can just tell they're playing harder. JT Thompson says coaches are only as good as their players. Absolutely right. I agree with you 100%, JT, because you have to have talent to win, or you have to have guys that are coachable, that are going to learn, even if they're not super talented, guys that are going to listen and, believe in your system and work in your system, that even fit your system. I feel like with Randy Bennett, that's why he has success, because he gets guys that fit his system and they're willing to, learn what he has to teach them. And that's why they've had so much success. Saxon, though, kicking the ball outside. St. Mary's trying to drive into the lane. There's nobody open. Back to Mahaney at the top of the key. 9:20 to go in the second half. Big-time foul by Ben Gregg. Smart play by Aiden Mahaney. And Gonzaga's picking up fouls. Gonzaga now has 5 fouls. Ben Gregg has 3 fouls, which isn't too big of a deal because obviously he can go to the bench. They can bring someone else in, but he's still an important player. Can't pick up a 4th foul, preferably for Gonzaga, but they can live with it. But it's more important if Gonzaga gets to the point where St. Mary's going to be going to the line. Mitchell Saxon, though, is blocked by Ben Gregg. What defense by Ben Gregg. Fantastic. JT Thompson, tough to spend $5 million in Bloomington, Indiana equals stepping stone job. Yeah, I mean, Mike Woodson's making $4 million a year, I think, right now. But the problem is they just fired Tom Allen for $15 million and got Kurt Signetti. I don't know if they can afford to fire Mike Woodson this year. Maybe next year, but it would be kind of tough for them to fire him this year. So, yeah, I agree. Indiana's not the best place, for money and stuff like that, but they do have a good bit of NIL. Do put a lot of it into basketball, but it just hasn't translated to success. And the longer Indiana doesn't have success, it could hurt them overall. It's going to be very interesting for sure. Hopefully Indiana can hire the right guy because they are a blue blood basketball program. It's just been so down for a very long time. College basketball is better when they're good. It's not required Indiana has to be good, but it would look good for the Big Ten and college basketball as a whole if Indiana can get back to the national scene. They just got to hire the right coach. Ohio State, if they want to be competitive in the Big Ten, have to hire the right guy as well. 8:40 to go in the second half, though. Gonzaga up 60-46. Nembhard with the ball, getting a screen from EK, driving in, kicks to Anton Watson. He goes up with a sick reverse, can't get it to go, and it's a shot clock violation. And see, a play like that, that's fantastic defense from St. Mary's, but the only problem is that took off 30 seconds off the clock. So even though St. Mary's did everything right, play great defense, they're down by 14. They cannot afford that much time to go off the clock. So that possession was still almost a win for Gonzaga, even though they didn't score because it wasted so much clock. Mahaney drives inside. He misses the shot. Almost had a second chance attempt, but it did not fall either. St. Mary's running out of chances here. Down by 14. 8 to go in the second half. Ron Nembhard driving into the paint around the WCC logo, and he splashes in a mid-range jumper. I'm not saying it's over. There's still time, but, man, Ron Nembhard and Graham Ike, every time St. Mary's makes a move, the Bulldogs respond. They're playing great basketball, looking like a desperate team trying to make the tournament. Aiden Mahaney kicks in the corner. Gales driving in, going up for a layup. It's off the mark. EK with the board. EK's having a fantastic game. I don't know how many NBA scouts are looking at him, but he is definitely a guy that is very talented, very athletic, could have an NBA future. Playing very well in this game. Nembhard down low. What a behind-the-back pass to Graham EK, and he lays it in. That's a sick play by Ryan Nembhard. 18 points, 10 assists for Nembhard. He's got a double-double. The Bulldogs are just playing better than the Gales. That's all there is to it. Just outplaying them. What a pass down low to Saxon. He gets it to fall and one, but the Gales are still down by a whole lot. They're down by 16, 64-48. JT Thompson says, come on, Gales. Yeah, they need all the help they can get right now. Their defense is clamped up in the second half, like I said. They're playing better, but just overall, they let themselves fall behind by way too much. And Gonzaga's just a better offensive team. I mean, everybody knows that. Gonzaga has more talent. They got guys that can be playing in the NBA. The only guy for St. Mary's that maybe even has a shot to play in the NBA is Aiden Mahaney. All the other guys, I mean, they're just really good players that fit Randy Bennett's system, and they're good at defense. But once they fell behind to Gonzaga by over 10, they're not like Virginia where it's impossible for them to come back, but they have a style of play that just doesn't really allow them to. Because, I mean, they're sped up, and they like to play a slower style. That's why when St. Mary's took the lead in the second half of the game against Gonzaga earlier this season, they didn't relinquish it because they're such a smart team, and they know how to use clock. But now that they're down by so much, they're just not really playing their brand of basketball. They're trying to, but they're still sped up, and you can just tell they're not really running the sets that they would normally run. And then on defense, they're doing their job. They're holding Gonzaga. They're preventing them from scoring a lot of the time. They're doing a much better job on defense in this half than they did in the first half. But even when they don't allow Gonzaga to score, it's bleeding so much clock that it just doesn't look like there's going to be enough time for the Gales to come back. JT Thompson said Nebraska used to be good in football. Yeah, my older family members, they love watching Nebraska. I mean, they had great players. And obviously, Scott Frost was quarterback there. They had Tim Couch. They had so many good players. Tom Osborne was a legendary coach. But, I mean, even for so long, he couldn't win a title, but he figured it out toward the end of his tenure, and that's where he got, the name recognition, and Nebraska was a dynasty for a bit there, kind of like along with Miami in that era. But Nebraska just hasn't been good in so long. Made bad hires. Maybe Matt Rule's the guy, we'll see, but now the Big Ten's so competitive. I know with the 12-team playoff, it's going to be easier to make the playoffs, but it's just going to be tough for Nebraska to get back to being like a 9-3 team. They don't recruit as well as they used to because of the fact that they are not really able to recruit the state of Texas because they're not in the Big 12. So we'll have to see. I hope Nebraska can get good in football again. I mean, they got great fans. Every game they sell out. Nebraska fans, I know people say there's not much to do in Nebraska, but there's a lot of scenic stuff out there. A lot of rural areas, a lot of pretty sights to see. And I mean, but they love their football. I mean, they're dedicated to Nebraska football, but they just haven't been rewarded for showing up to all those games for a very long time. As fans, you want to be rewarded for going to watch the games. You don't want to go every single game and you lose. But, man, this game for St. Mary's got out of hand quickly in this game. They've been down for a while. I don't think they gave them the bucket, so they just called the foul. No bucket, so I thought it was 64-48, but it's still 64-46. St. Mary's has not scored in 3 minutes. They missed their last 5 field goals. They need a run now. They need a quick 8-0 run in the next couple minutes. Aiden Mahaney, though, starting it off with a mid-range jumper. Maybe this is their last gas, 64-48. They need stops. Mahaney has 13 points, having a decent game, but he's only 5 of 15 from the field. That kind of tells the true story. The Bulldogs have done a great job defending Mahaney. Nembhard in the lane, trying to go up, kicks to EK. EK being guarded by Saxon on the left block, and a turnover. Good defense by Augustus Marcelionis there, coming over with the help side defense, getting that steal. Very good play. Now you've got Marcelionis handling the ball top of the key. There's only 6:20 to go, though, in this game. So much time is running off the clock. Marcelionis kicks inside. It's a kick ball. Stevens says UConn will win the Natty again. I mean, as of now, I think Houston has a good shot because they're a good defensive team. They weren't today against Oklahoma, but a really good defensive team. They've got good players. Getting LJ Cryer from Baylor was huge for Kelvin Sampson, but UConn has the potential. They got the big and Donovan Klingman. They got the guard and Tristan Newton. They got the wing and Alex Caravan. And they got another good guard in Cam Spencer. I like UConn's team. They got a really good backup big and Solomon Ball. Just a lot of high-flying talent. UConn definitely is well coached, and they could win the title again. But it's so hard to do so. Florida, the last team to do it in 06-07 with Billy Donovan, Joakim Noah, Al Horford. We'll have to see if UConn can do it, but they're definitely on my short list, Stephen, of teams I think that can, along with Houston. I don't trust Purdue. There's a couple other teams, but it's going to be interesting. I cannot wait for March Madness, but we're still in the regular season. 5:40 to go in the second half. WCC regular season finale. Gonzaga missed. St. Mary's going down the floor. Mahaney gets blocked. You can just tell again how sped up the Gales are. I mean, Aiden Mahaney trying to drive with like 3 guys on him. He has no chance to score that ball, but he's trying so hard to get inside. EK just erased that thing. 5:45 to go in the second half. Gales down by 16. If Gonzaga wins this game, like I said before, a lock for the tournament. Great job by Mark Few. This team never gave up this season, but St. Mary's still not done yet. Down by 14. Augustus Marcelionis having a solid game. 10 points, 5 boards, 5 assists, doing a little bit of everything. Still, though, I'm looking at the possessions, and I just don't know how much more time St. Mary's is going to have, especially with how much time Gonzaga is taking per possession. EK misses the shot. Marcelionis with the board. Kicks to Mahaney, but the ball was tapped by Gonzaga, and now Anton Watson picks it up. It almost was a beautiful pass by Marcelionis to Mahaney. He tried to squirt it in between 2 Gonzaga defenders, but it did not work. The ball got stolen. 4:50 to go in the second half. Nembhard taking the air out of the building, slowing this thing down. 4:40 to go in the second half. Nembhard kicks to Dusty Stromer for 3, off the mark, and the ball goes out of bounds off of the Bulldogs. So it will be St. Mary's basketball. Jackson, appreciate the plug. He says, if you love hearing hot takes on college football, NFL, college basketball, and the NBA, check out Jeffrey from Only Talk Sports on Twitter and Rumble. Appreciate that. Jackson, I do have a Rumble account and a Twitter account where I post my videos and streams on Rumble and also talk sports on Twitter every single day, give some takes on things going around in the sports world. But really appreciate that, Jackson. But most importantly, appreciate everybody for being here. It's been an awesome stream so far. We just hit 2,000 subscribers. I'm so grateful for all of you. Cannot believe we've made it to 2,000 subs. Could not do it without all of you guys. You guys are the best. Even though this game hasn't been all that close, it's still been a blast, especially with you guys in the chat. Appreciate all of you. What a play down low by St. Mary's. Looked like Gonzaga was going to get the ball, but they stole it away. Really good play by Barrett. And now it's a 64-52 lead for Gonzaga. It's a 12-point game, but there's only 4:10 to go. St. Mary's is working against the clock, but they're trying to hang around. Nembhard kicks to Nolan Hickman. Nolan Hickman, top of the key, being guarded by Mahaney. St. Mary's cannot foul. Hickman down low. EK with the board. He's trying to go up with it, and his shot goes in. St. Mary's just could not get the board, and that's just effort from EK. Going up with 2 hands. 22.7 boards for EK's 10 of 16 from the field. That is a heck of a play by Graham EK. Now you've got Alex Dukas, top of the key, kicks to Barrett. In the lane, he loses the ball, but they're going to call a foul. JT Thompson says, why do basketball players go to Spokane? It's a great question. I mean, you look at Spokane. You know, it's a city in eastern Washington, in the middle of nowhere. There's like nothing else around it. Beautiful place. There's a lot of pretty sights out there. But it's in the middle of nowhere. But Mark Few, he built a dynasty somehow by bringing in underrated players that nobody really thought about. Like bringing in one of the first teams that Gonzaga had that was really good is when he got Kyle Wilcher from Kentucky. He entered the transfer portal. Back before the transfer portal was cool, back before the rules are the way they are now. Wilcher had to sit out a year. And then once he got to play for Mark Few and Gonzaga, got balled out. Never would have had a shot to play at Kentucky. But Kyle Wilcher got to play at Gonzaga. And ever since then, like, they were already good before that. Like, they were winning games, but no one really took them seriously because they're like, well, Gonzaga's in the WCC. They're beating up on bad teams. They're not all that. But that's when Gonzaga started to beat good teams. And they started to make deeper runs in the tournament. And people are like, yeah, this team is legit. And I feel like Mark Few, it's just a rare thing. Like, he was able to bring in guys that no one really wanted to play. No one was really allowing to get on the floor because they had better players on these teams. And once he was able to do that and prove that he can make underrated players good, kind of like what Randy Bennett's done at St. Mary's. But Mark Few's done it at a grander scale because now he started to recruit like 4- and 5-star guys, and he was able to take guys to the NBA on a regular basis. It's kind of slowing down a bit now. I mean, Mark Few's getting older. A lot of people are wondering how much longer he's going to coach. I'm wondering how much longer he's going to coach. No clue. It could be, a few, like 3-4 more years. It might not be that long. But however long Mark Few coaches, he's done a really good job at Gonzaga, being able to bring in players to a part of the country where just no one really expects guys to go. Like you said, for that matter, why does anyone go to Spokane? I mean, like I said, it's very pretty in that part of the state in Washington, but it's just not a place you would really think of guys going, basketball players. You think they'd be going to like, USC or UCLA down in Los Angeles if you're in that part of the country, or Arizona, not Gonzaga. It's crazy. I just hope, like, for Gonzaga's sake, once Mark Few's gone, like, are they going to continue to win? Is Gonzaga going to still have success? Like, are they still going to be relevant? Because a lot of people are wondering, like, is Gonzaga going to go to the Big 12? A lot of people say it's not going to happen because Gonzaga is, like, lacking in a lot of other areas that, would be a requirement for you to be in, like, a conference like that, especially with all this realignment. Like, you have to meet these requirements. That's why Oregon State and Washington State are left for dead. Nobody wants them. But Gonzaga, I mean, they have a shot, but if they don't join a bigger conference soon, I don't think that they will. And if Mark Few retires, then they could fade into obscurity if they don't hire a good coach. If they're not able to keep up this level that they are at right now, it's going to be really interesting and fascinating to see. I hope Gonzaga doesn't fall off a cliff. I mean, look at Loyola. I mean, they've managed to stay competitive. They moved up from the Missouri Valley to the A-10. Loyola's got a pretty good team this year. After Porter Moser left, they've got Denzel Valentine's older brother, Drew Valentine, at head coach. Sister Jean still rocking, 104 years old. So happy for Sister Jean that she has been able to watch a really good basketball team with Loyola Chicago. And it's like with St. Mary's and Gonzaga. I like these underrated teams. Loyola's not as good as they used to be, but love Sister Jean. Love how much fun she still has watching that program. She's a bastion for that program. And I think for like Gonzaga, they're just going to need a really good coach to be able to continue what Mark Few's done. And if they can do that, maybe they could be like Loyola. Maybe not as good, but they could still have success. We'll have to see. 3:10 to go in the game. Gonzaga with a commanding 14-point lead. Can St. Mary's get any stops? They cannot because EK just scored again. What a tough turnaround jumper for EK. That's something he's developed this year. He used to just be a post player. Now he can knock down jump shots. Could help him be an NBA player one day. St. Mary's down 16. They're in desperation mode. Aiden Mahaney off on the three. Ball goes out of bounds, and they call it off of St. Mary's. Barrett tried to go for the board. He couldn't get it, and Gonzaga has the ball, and I'm sure fans are about to start leaving. Stephen Cherry says, Big Ten champs, Lady Buckeyes play Iowa tomorrow. Yes, Ohio State, Lady Buckeyes were able to win the Big Ten. They're really good. The three best teams in the Big Ten in women's college basketball is Ohio State, Iowa, obviously with Caitlin Clark, and Indiana. Those three teams are very fun to watch. But Ohio State somehow able to win the Big Ten. Everyone thought it would be Iowa, but Ohio State did it. Crazy. EK misses off glass. St. Mary's picks up the board, but I think it's done. I mean, there's only 2:20 to go. They're down 16. There's just no way that they're coming back here. Saxon down low, misses a layup, but he's fouled. JT Thompson says Gale's about to kill it with threes. I don't know. I hope that they can make it interesting. EK has 4 fouls. Maybe he'll foul out. St. Mary's can get it interesting, keep it close. I don't know, but they're running out of time. Stephen Cherry says Sister Jean living her best life. It's awesome. I mean, I didn't even know she was that old. I remember seeing Sister Jean a couple of years ago and thinking she's 90. I thought she was 90, 92 years old. And then people were saying she was 102. I was like, what? Sister Jean looks great for her age. She is awesome. Like it is so awesome seeing her at the games. I love when they always show, do tweets showing, that there's having her at the games, and she's just so happy. Rode her away. She's always supporting Loyola Chicago. It's awesome. I mean, she looks great to be 104 years old. I mean, that's like the dream for everybody right there. Like you're able to, be in that great of shape at that age. Like most people don't even live to be 80 sometimes. It's crazy. She is awesome. Sister Jean can't beat it. And it's like May Loyola, just, such a great part of college basketball. She's definitely an icon for sure, especially for the program. Gonzaga driving in. Ron Nembhard laying it in again. 70-54. I can't believe this performance by Gonzaga. I mean, you've got Ron Nembhard with a double-double, 20 points, 10 assists, and better yet, 1 turnover. And then Graham Ike's got 24 points and like 8 rebounds. Just pure domination by Gonzaga's 2 best players. Aiden Mahaney knocks down a massive 3. Randy Bennett calls timeout. Still within 13, but this is basically where St. Mary's has had it the entire second half. They cut it to around 12. I think they got to 8 once. But when they cut it to 8, right after that, Gonzaga just pulled away. Gonzaga just blew it open again to like 16, 17 points. And then St. Mary's has just been hovering around this 11-14 zone for the rest of the game. And they just haven't been able to cut into the lead. They haven't played a terrible game. But Gonzaga, I mean, this game right here shows yet again how much better the Bulldogs are right now than they were earlier this season. Very impressive performance by this team, and just a great coaching job by Mark Few. Again, people wondering, is he done after this year? How much longer is he going to coach? Regardless of that, I mean, this Gonzaga team at one point, people thought were going to miss the NCAA tournament. I mean, that's crazy to me that Gonzaga, before that Kentucky game, was projected to not make the tournament because they did not have a quad 1 win. They were on the outside looking in. And now this Gonzaga team was a 10 seed according to the bracket major. So, like, even if they lost this game, they were still technically going to make the tournament according to the bracketologists. But I feel like maybe if they lost in the first round of the WCC tournament, they could still not make the tournament if they didn't win this game. But now that they've won this game, it doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter at all. Like, they could lose by 40 in the first game of the WCC tournament. I think they still get in because Gonzaga's got 3 quad 1 wins. Now, their net's like 19, and that's going to go up probably with this win, especially if they win by double digits. That's going to help in the net. So, yeah, like, Gonzaga is going to make the tournament. They're a lock. They are an absolute lock for the NCAA tournament as an at-large or an automatic bid. Either or, doesn't matter. Gonzaga's getting in, and I think this is one of the best coaching jobs Mark Few has done, just because no one thought they were going to actually get here. I didn't think they were. I mean, they lost. They got upset earlier in WCC play, struggled in the out-of-conference, just didn't look all that good. But, man, the improvement down the stretch, Ben Gregg coming into the starting lineup, the improvement of Graham Ike, he's been fouling less, had a lot of foul trouble issues early in the year. Ron Nembhard's gotten a lot better as a guard, his NBA potential now like his brother. This is just a good team. And St. Mary's, nothing to take away from their season either, because like Jackson said, they've won 15 in a row. And they're a 6 seed for the tournament right now. Maybe they get knocked down to a 7 seed with this loss. Who knows? But, I mean, St. Mary's, even though they're going to finish 15-1 in league play, and they're not going to go undefeated for the first time ever, they've still had a fantastic year. And Randy Bennett, I mean, what a job he does year in and year out with this Gales program. They were able to win at Gonzaga. Couldn't sweep them, couldn't get it done, couldn't go undefeated, but not that big a deal for St. Mary's. They got to get it done when it matters in the tournament. WCC tournament, maybe they can win the whole tournament and then make a deep run in the NCAA tournament, definitely where it matters the most. But St. Mary's had a great season. I thought they would get this win, but ultimately too much pressure was put on them to go undefeated. And Gonzaga, they just wanted and they just needed it more. And they played fantastic in this game. Minute to go, down by 13. St. Mary's did get a stop, but just so much time's going off the clock. In the corner, Barrett for 3. It's short. And Nembhard, who else? Picking up the board. St. Mary's isn't going to foul. They're letting it go. JT Thompson said Pete Maravich died at 40. FYI, I saw that actually the other day because I saw that on like Twitter that he passed away in like the 80s or whatever, like in 1988 or something. I was like, wow, I didn't even know that. I mean, I figured he was still alive. I had no idea, but that's crazy. I hate that. I think I can't remember like if he died. I can't remember if like a sickness or car accident. I can't remember. I'd have to look at it again, but it's very sad that he passed away at 40. He was a legendary player, especially in college basketball for LSU. Had the most points in college basketball history until now. Obviously, Caitlin Clark's about to pass it. Antoine Davis almost passed it last year. Mike Davis's son. But Pistol Pete Maravich's record still stood, but now it's going to be surpassed by Caitlin Clark. Congratulations to Caitlin Clark if she is able to pass it tomorrow, but regardless, she will pass it. But Pistol Pete had a fantastic college career, played in the NBA as well, or the ABA. But yeah, he was really good player for his time. Just sad that he passed away at such a young age. Stephen Cherry says, which conference tournament are you looking forward to watching the most? ACC, usually entertaining. Yeah, the ACC is entertaining because it's like the first one that starts, and you got like all the bottom teams. It's always funny. You got like the 8, 9, or 9, 10 games and stuff like that, and there's always like teams on the bubble. Can they get in if they make a deep run? It's always crazy. You have that in other conferences too, but it's like the ACC starts it up. So, I mean, I would say the ACC tournament's up there because there's a lot of teams that are like on the bubble, like Wake Forest and stuff like that. NC State's kind of a little bit lower. Clemson's kind of, flirting around the bubble territory. The Big 12 is going to be fun. Big 12 is going to be fun because anybody can win that thing. Houston can win it. Maybe Kansas if they get it together. Baylor can win it. Iowa State maybe could win it. That's a deep conference. And then you talk about the SEC with Alabama, South Carolina's playing great, Florida, Kentucky, Tennessee. I don't know. I would say SEC, Big 12 are like top 2. ACC's up there. Big 10, I mean, it's probably going to be Purdue, right? Like you think like Purdue should win it. I mean, maybe another team does, but it probably will be Purdue. Pac-12, probably Arizona. So those two aren't as interesting. So I would probably go Big 12 just for like the sheer number of teams that are great. And then really close behind it's the SEC. And then the ACC in that order. JT Thompson says, I heard the tournament is going to expand to 133 teams. I am completely against that. I know some people are like, oh, it would make the sport better because then every team that's good can get in. I'm like, every team that's good, what do you mean? Like, that's what the NIT's for. Like, all the teams that don't make the tournament, like, they go to the NIT, and they're decent teams. But I don't really think anybody's really vouching for that many NIT teams. Oh, the NCAA tournament would have been so much better if they made it. Like, I just absolutely disagree with that. Hilarious to me that so many people do want to expand. I think more people don't, but it's just, you see a lot of voices saying that it definitely should not. But Gonzaga, they just knocked off St. Mary's 70-57. The game has gone final. St. Mary's, they were not able to go 16-0 in WCC play, but still had a fantastic season. Gonzaga now a lock for the NCAA tournament. Congratulations to Mark Few's squad. They earned it. They deserved it. Avoid getting swept by St. Mary's. Played a fantastic game. Nemhard and EK were excellent in this game, and Gonzaga was able to get the win 70-57. Stephen Cherry says Pistol Pete's handles were ridiculous. Yeah, I've seen tape of Pistol Pete. Unbelievable player. Like, I know the era was different. People always say that. Even now with like Michael Jordan, oh, the era was different. It's like, well, still, basketball was more modern when he played. I would argue it was harder because like how physical everybody was and the fouls and stuff. But like, still, for his time, Pistol Pete was amazing. And JT Thompson, imagine those points without a three-point line. Absolutely. Like Caitlin Clark, I mean, all credit to her. All credit. Antoine Davis for getting close. All credit to him. Fantastic. Kelsey Plum was close. It played for Washington in women's college basketball. I mean, excellent. All players that are excellent. But Pistol Pete did it in 4 years and without a three-point line. And I know, to be fair, there weren't as many good players back then, or like tall players because he was on the taller side, but still, it is incredible that he did that. Absolutely incredible. And, I mean, people are going to still be talking about it forever. I mean, Caitlin Clark, once she passes it, he might not get talked about as much, but he's still going to get talked about for sure. RC says, what's up, Only Talk Sport? What are you doing here playing Vampire? Appreciate you for being here, RC. Just decided to do the game. Haven't done a live stream for a basketball game in a while. Been wanting to do one. And I did do the Gonzaga St. Mary's game earlier this season, so I felt like doing this one. We're getting close to the end of the regular season. I will be doing more live streams for games. For sure. I definitely will be doing more live streams for probably maybe a game next week in the regular season. We'll see. Not 100%. Depends on my schedule. But definitely will be doing reactions during March Madness. So many great games in the conference tournaments as well. So definitely hope you guys will be back for that. Appreciate all you guys for being here tonight. It's been awesome. This was a great game despite not being too close. Still very entertaining. For sure. JT Thompson and no shot clock. So that as well. I mean, you didn't have a shot clock. So like guys could just hold it for like a minute and like the game would go quicker. So it's just crazy Pistol Pete was able to score that much. Get him next time, Gales. I'm sure St. Mary's will rebound. Maybe they'll meet in the WCC tournament. If they do, maybe they'll be able to get them back. Who knows? RC says, Only Talk Sports, so you know, Caitlin is going to empty the Pistol Pete, toss the pistol aside when she's done. 18 points tomorrow to break the record. Should be easy as making a bowl of cereal. Yeah, she's going to pass it. She's absolutely going to pass it. I mean, she scored like 30 a game. I think like recently her worst scoring performance in a game was against Indiana on the road. And she had like 24 or something like that. So even if she has a game like that, she's going to get there. Indiana is really good in basketball this year, in women's college basketball. So definitely, you know, that's why she didn't score as much, but she's going to get there against Ohio State. That's why College Game Day for women's college basketball is going to be at the game. It's going to be a big deal. JT Thompson for another 10. Appreciate the 2 super chats tonight, JT. Really appreciate you for being here, but really appreciate the super chats. You're awesome. He says, Piston Pete. Appreciate the super chat. But yeah, Pistol Pete, I definitely love watching older highlights of players. You know, I know that it's not the same as seeing them live and, you know, like in person back then, or just watching it on the grainy TV with like the 180 resolution or whatever and the antennas, I mean, on the really old TVs. It's nothing like seeing it when it actually happened. But still being able to see it on YouTube and other places, being able to watch highlights. I love watching old highlights. Like, I was not alive when Michael Jordan played, but I've seen everything Michael Jordan's done. Like, you know, I've seen everything Magic Johnson's done. I've seen all those players. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like, you got to watch those guys if you really want to watch basketball. Larry Bird, all those players. And definitely, I've watched tons of Pistol Pete. The quality on the end, like the video for those highlights are awful, but you can still see that he was really good. But really appreciate it, JT Thompson, for the super chats. Really do. RC says, I'll be having my Only Talk Sports notifications on, but I'm never getting the noti like that. It's crazy. Yeah, I've had a lot of people say that they don't get notifications for my streams and videos. I have no idea. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. Like, I don't think there's anything I can do to make it work, you know, like the notification. I think it's just like a YouTube thing. But hopefully everybody's notifications work, because you're not going to want to miss the streams for March Madness. It's going to be awesome. I really appreciate everybody for being here. Stephen Cherry says, Jeffrey, great job. Appreciate that, Stephen. Always love seeing you in chat. It's always a lot of fun talking Big Ten basketball, women's and men's. I don't watch as much women's basketball, but definitely have tuned in to Caitlin Clark this year, some Indiana hoops, some Ohio State women's hoops. UConn, they're great basketball. Like, the product in women's basketball, like they've said, has gone through the roof. Like, it's so much better than it used to be. Like, they were good before, but like, they're really good now. Like, the shooting's insane. Like, the speed, like, they've just gotten so much better. And the product's really good. That's why so many people are watching. It's always fun to watch. RC says, okay, well, salute. Hope to catch you then. Appreciate that, RC. I have no idea what game I'm going to be able to do next, because, like, you don't like the schedules, or, you know, especially like for the tournaments and March Madness that hasn't come out yet. But like next week, maybe I'll be able to do a game. I'm always able to do the late game. Like, I want to do earlier games sometimes, because there's like so many good ones. Like the Tennessee-Bama game would have been fun. But like, I got a lot of stuff going on, so it's kind of tough. Like, you just squeak in a late stream, but we'll try to definitely fit some in when I can, because it's going to be so much fun to do these games. These games are going to be awesome. I love March Madness. Got to take advantage of it once a year. You got to take advantage of it. JT says, nice work, Jeffrey. Appreciate your work. Keep it up. I really appreciate the compliment, JT. I really appreciate it a lot. Because like I said, I mean, none of this would be possible, without you guys. I mean, you guys are the reason. Like, I could be up here, doing this live stream, having a great time just talking. But if like nobody was here, it wouldn't matter, right? So like you guys make it so much more fun. The chats, appreciate all the support. I mean, it makes these shows so much more fun for sure. You guys are awesome. Jackson says, let's get Only Talk Sports to 4,000. JT says to 10,000. I would be blown away. I mean, anything's possible. Hard work, support. You guys support. It's been amazing so far. I'm going to keep making videos and lives in the future. You never know. I mean, I'm just so appreciative of the 2,000 that we've gotten so far. Like, I started my channel a year and a half ago, and I've really enjoyed it. I mean, I love talking sports, breaking down the game. I know there's people that know more about basketball and football than I do, but I still like offering my 2 cents and learning the game from other people and just observing and watching. It's just a lot of fun, and I'm definitely going to keep talking in the future, talking sports, and hopefully improve. I mean, that's definitely what you do in life, just hopefully be able to improve. I really appreciate it. JT Top says, go for it for sure. It's going to be awesome. I mean, like I said, anything's possible. You guys, definitely your support has been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing, and I just can't appreciate it enough. RC says, South Carolina is undefeated again. Help me, somebody. I'm sick of this. Okay, peace, laughing out loud. Yeah, they're dominant in women's basketball, and they're good in men's basketball this year. Like, I picked Florida to beat them earlier today or yesterday. But Florida, on the East Coast anyway, it's yesterday. But Florida was able to keep it close, but South Carolina did beat the Gators. And South Carolina men's basketball is really good, but the women's team, Dawn Staley at head coach, she has a great team. She's had a great team for years. I mean, they're like the dynasty right now. It was UConn, for a long time. It was Tennessee back with Pat Summitt. When she was coach, they were great. And then you had Gino with UConn. He's still there. But, like, now it's South Carolina. I mean, they're great. I know they didn't win it all last year. I know it was LSU, Angel Reese. But still, like, South Carolina has just been great. Stephen Cherry says, will you do a bracket breakdown after the teams are revealed? That's a great question, Stephen. Last year, I did do something of the sort like that, where I did a, breaking down the bracket, something like that. I think I did a live stream on that. So it's definitely probably in the cards if I'm able to do it that night. Because it's always fun to, like, talk about, the potential matchups. Because I was talking about Fairleigh Dickinson at Purdue, and I'm like, surely Purdue won't lose to Fairleigh Dickinson. I didn't make an official bracket. I didn't do like any of the bracket, like ESPN play thing, where you're able to put your, the bracket in and see if you win or whatever, win prize. I didn't do any of that, but I did say on that live stream that I thought Purdue would lose in the second round to Florida Atlantic or Memphis. I thought they would. I thought they were going to go down the round of 32, but I was like, surely they're not going to lose to Fairleigh Dickinson, but they did. Absolutely crazy. I couldn't believe that they lost actually to Fairleigh Dickinson, but I definitely probably will be able to do a bracket breakdown. It's going to be a lot of fun to do that because, you see the bracket and then your mind just goes in a million different directions. Oh, this team going to win? Will this team win? And then you're trying to think of matchups. How do these teams match up? It could go a million different ways. That's what makes March Madness so much fun. JT Thompson, watch out for my team, the Citadel. Give a shout out every now and then in the SoCon. For sure, JT. The Citadel's pretty good. The SoCon's an underrated conference. I mean, like, they're really underrated. We're talking like not like the A10 or the Mount West or the American. Like, they're below that, but they've had some good teams that have made, decent runs in the tournament before. So definitely be paying attention to the SoCon and the Citadel. We'll have to see. Hopefully, maybe the Citadel will be able to make the tournament if they are able to win the SoCon Conference Tournament. It's always tough with those teams, though, because they can have good seasons. Like, they can have great years, and then they lose in, like, the championship game. I remember Belmont one year. Belmont had a great team. They were, like, 28-4, and then they lost in the conference championship game, but they didn't have a resume for the at-large. Like, they had no good wins or anything, so they didn't get in. But it's just the way it goes. Like, I think San Francisco is a good team in the WCC, but they're not going to make the tournament because they don't have any good wins. They weren't able to beat Gonzaga, so it's tough, but that's just the nature of being in a smaller conference. But definitely will shout out the Citadel, especially if they do make the tournament. JT, hopefully that they do. But I appreciate everybody for being here tonight. It was a fantastic stream. Gonzaga was able to knock off St. Mary's 70-57. Kind of surprised the game went the way it did. But the more you look at it, Gonzaga has been playing so well recently. Their offense has been getting together. And once they got ahead of St. Mary's, it kind of was all she wrote. St. Mary's just didn't really have a chance once they fell behind by so much. Gales fought hard but couldn't get it done. But St. Mary's is going to make the tournament. Wasn't able to go 16-0 in WCC play. Still had a great year. But Gonzaga, now a lock for the tournament. Cannot wait to see the Gonzaga Bulldogs in the NCAA tournament again as well. Very good job by Mark Few's squad. But Gonzaga and St. Mary's both are going to be able to make the NCAA tournament. We'll have to see who wins the WCC tournament. But really appreciate everybody for being here. It was the 2,000 subscriber special live stream. We just passed 2,000 subs. Like I said, you guys are all awesome. Appreciate your support. Hopefully we can get to 3,000, 4,000 subs and beyond. We'll definitely have to see what happens in the future. But definitely will be keep doing live streams and videos in the future. You guys are the best. JT Tops says thanks and good night. Appreciate that and appreciate the 2 super chats, JT. Really appreciate your support. It's been awesome, and that meant a lot. Really appreciate it. All your comments tonight as well. Go for 10K. I definitely will, JT. Definitely will. I'm try to go slow though, like 3,000, 4,000. You don't want to dream too big too quick, but definitely 10,000 subs. We'll be reaching for that and beyond for sure. But definitely with your support, everybody else, and keep doing the hard work, keep making the videos and the live streams. Maybe eventually we'll get there. But really appreciate that, JT. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Share the stream out on social media. Congratulations to the Gonzaga Bulldogs for knocking off St. Mary's. There's a lot of great college basketball games today in the penultimate week of the regular season. And college basketball next Saturday and Sunday is going to be the final week of the regular season. I hopefully be able to do a live stream for a game next week. It should be a lot of fun. JT saying you will get there. Thanks for pumping me up, JT. Making me believe. Appreciate that. If you believe, it will probably come true. I hope so. Really do appreciate that, JT. Means so much. But good night, everybody. Thanks for all the support. Thank you, JT, for the compliments. Congratulations to Gonzaga. And we will be back for more live streams once March Madness comes around the corner. It should be a lot of fun. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for all the support. We've reached 2,000, and we're not going to be stopping here. Appreciate